we've got the largest active grassroots movement in the province, calling on the BC government to end old-growth logging, to ensure sustainable second-growth logging, and to ban raw log exports.
We can have a good forest industry that we can be proud of. We can be proud of the environmental work that we do, and we can all live on this island, and that's the way it needs to be, and this government needs to get that message. And quite frankly, I don't think they've got it, and we probably need to boot them out and put somebody in here that's going to put the people and the young people of this province first. So, thanks a lot, everybody.
Preserve our old-growth forests. Preserve them for our grandchildren's grandchildren's grandchildren. That's who needs our forests. They provide habitat. They provide watershed stability. They are a carbon storage. They provide scenic landscapes and tourism. And most of all, they are the heritage of our First Nations, their traditional territories and their cultural usage and their unceded rights.
As First Nations people, the forests are cathedral. There are places where we go for our spirituality, for our culture, and who we are. And we are fighting to retain the old growth in our territory.
The forests that we have today are an inheritance from our past ancestors. We have a responsibility to manage and steward these forests, not just in the best interests of people here today, but in the best interests of our future ancestors.
Vancouver Island in British Columbia, Canada, is world-renowned for its spectacular old-growth forests. Ancient trees here can grow trunks as wide as living rooms and as tall as downtown skyscrapers. Some can live to be over 1,800 years old. The fact that some of them still stand today presents a first-rate conservation opportunity for Canadians. The fate of these ancient forests has also generated the largest environmental movement in Canadian history, as the giant trees have been clear-cut and replaced by second-growth tree plantations. In the summer of 1993, 12,000 people took part in Canada's largest act of non-violent civil disobedience. Citizens peacefully blockaded logging trucks in Clayoquot Sound on Vancouver Island, near the west coast village of Tofino. Almost 900 people were arrested as part of the protests. In recent years, another major upswing in environmental consciousness has been underway, partially triggered by the climate change documentary An Inconvenient Truth, featuring former U.S. Vice President Al Gore. Today, the fate of Vancouver Island and the Lower Mainland's ancient forests and forestry jobs are once again in the spotlight. Thousands of citizens are again rallying to end the logging of the remaining ancient forests on BC's south coast. Because the ensuing tree plantations are logged every 40 to 80 years, the old-growth forests never come back once they are cut down. These ancient forests are important for many reasons. They are home to many species at risk that simply cannot flourish in second-growth tree plantations, such as the threatened marbled murrelet and the endangered spotted owl. Scientists estimate that there used to be over 1,000 spotted owls in British Columbia. By 2009, due to the logging of their old-growth habitat on the southwest mainland, only 6 spotted owls were known to exist in the wilds of BC. Yet the BC Liberal government continues to place logging cut blocks in spotted owl habitat. Old-growth forests are also important for the climate. Scientific studies show that logging our coastal old-growth releases major amounts of carbon. Not all of this carbon is resequestered by the ensuing second-growth tree plantations, which only store 1/2 to 1/3 of the carbon per hectare of the original old-growth forests. Standing ancient forests are also important to the economy. A recent study from the Simon Fraser University showed that the old-growth forests of the southwest mainland are worth more to the economy standing than logged, when factoring in tourism, hunting, angling, non-timber forest products, and their importance as carbon stores. Old-growth forests are fundamental to BC's multi-billion-dollar coastal tourism industry. Each year, millions of tourists visit the old-growth forests of Vancouver Island and the southern mainland, including places like Cathedral Grove, Clayoquot Sound, the West Coast Trail, the Juan de Fuca Trail, the Carmana Valley, Cape Scott, the Nooka Trail, Goldstream Park on Vancouver Island, Chilliwack Lake, Cheakamus Lake, and Manning Park on the mainland. Old-growth forests provide clean drinking water for people in Vancouver, Victoria, Tofino, and other communities. They also provide clean water for aquatic species like salmon and trout.
The salmon need the forest to lay their eggs. That's another really good example of Hishuk Ishtawak. Everything is one, everything is connected. Because the salmon go up the rivers, lay their eggs. A lot of those juveniles will not go out to the ocean for the first year of their life. So it's really important that the forest is here to hold that water And today, over 75% of Vancouver Island has been logged, and virtually a lot of those salmon streams have disappeared. They've gone extinct today.
Logging old-growth forests results in dirty water, damage to streams and rivers, and the demise of important fisheries.
How are we going to keep fishing when the logging industry is destroying the fish habitat?
Unfortunately, most of the old-growth forests on BC's south coast have already been logged. Satellite photos taken of Vancouver Island show that about 75% of the original productive old-growth forests are now gone. This includes 87% of the ancient forests on the South Island, 90% of the valley bottoms where the largest trees grow and the most biodiversity lives, as well as 99% of the ancient Douglas fir stands. Unfortunately, only 6 to 8% of the original productive old-growth forests on the south coast are protected in our park system. Much of our parks consist of alpine terrain or marginal old-growth forests in bogs and at high elevations where the trees are often stunted.
Unless we fundamentally change the way we live, we risk future generations of human beings on this planet. And that applies in the situation that we have with the old growth. Because we are extinguishing old growth. It's like crack cocaine. We're addicted to it. Our entire forest industry has been addicted to it for decades. Decades of politicians turned a blind eye to what was going on under the guise of economic activity and job creation and community stability. But over the last few years, we've recognized that that addiction must come to an end, because now we are not even getting the economic benefit. Because now we are logging that old growth for log exports to countries so that a few shareholders get the benefit. And meanwhile, our watersheds are being torn apart. Meanwhile, our communities are not benefiting. That must stop as well. This campaign must be an old growth and a log export campaign. It must be an old growth and a community stability campaign. It must be an old growth and a sustainable future campaign as well.
Since 2006, over 20,000 BC forestry jobs have been lost, making it the largest loss of forestry jobs in living memory. The BC government's deregulation of the forest industry is largely responsible for these job losses. Their policies have facilitated the closure of over 60 mills in BC since 2001, unprecedented levels of raw log exports, and the elimination of tree farm licenses that once regulated vast areas of coastal forest. Since 2001, almost 30 million telephone poles worth of BC logs have been exported unprocessed to foreign mills, costing thousands of BC milling jobs.
Certain amounts of that fiber must be processed within the communities, and it must be sustainably done so that there's jobs for the future. We don't need jobs just now, we need jobs down the road. My children and my grandchildren need jobs.
By logging the second growth forests sustainably and ending the export of raw logs, so that there is a guaranteed wood supply for BC mills, we can sustain forestry employment levels while we protect the remaining ancient forests. The BC government should also assist in the retooling of sawmills to handle the smaller second growth logs and help to develop new value-added wood processing industries.
This is totally incredible, and I'm proud of everybody for showing up today at the largest environmental rally in BC since the Clackwood Sound protest 15 years ago. Thank you very much. But today, it's not just your average tree huggers here. Today, we're more diverse. I'm also very proud that the forestry workers from the Pulp, Paper and Woodworkers of Canada have brought significant contingents from the Harmac and Crofton pulp mills down here today. Whoever would have thought that 10 years ago there would be a whole contingent of forestry workers showing up at an environmental rally organized by the Western Canada Wilderness Committee. But these are different times. We believe that we've got to work together with the working people in the woods of Vancouver Island towards a solution that will protect our remaining old-growth forests on Vancouver Island, on the Sunshine Coast, in the Lower Mainland, at the same time protecting the jobs of the thousands of timber workers on BC's coast.
We're so proud to join you today. To join you to send a very clear message to Gordon Campbell and the Liberals. These are our forests, they belong to British Columbians, and they need to be managed sustainably. These are extraordinary resources we have here in British Columbia. Resources that belong to past generations and future generations. And I can tell you, I don't want to be standing here and talking about our old growth forests as part of our past. I want to be talking about them as part of our future for this generation and all generations to come in British Columbia.
I just want to say that you are eye candy, all of you. You are sweet, you're the sweetness of the world, you're the people who care. You're the people who care about the world, not just yourselves, and that makes you sweet people. And you are people who don't suffer from a poverty of imagination, who can't imagine a future that's full of force, that is full of jobs, that lets those two things work together. That's what we are suffering from right now, is a poverty of imagination. It's not a poverty of anything else but that. Everything that we will see in our future, all the solutions will come from what we can imagine.
It's time that we moved ourselves away from logging the old growth, because it's an end game for us, it's an end game for the workers, it's an end game for the communities. We need to transition quickly into second growth. We need to protect the communities. We need to restore that social contract. Forest workers aren't going to stand for our communities and our environment ripped apart by corporations, and the first and last thing we need to do is stop the export of logs.
Already, the vast majority of the old-growth Douglas fir and Sitka spruce stands are gone. And now, the last of the ancient western red cedars are quickly being high-graded out of the landscape. These ancient trees are being turned into 4-meter wide stumps. 1,000 years of life extinguished in an hour. From a global perspective, it's hard to believe the logging of these exceptional, globally rare forests is still happening in a wealthy nation like Canada.
This kind of forest was really rare to begin with, and it's really important that we keep it today. Already we have robbed the future generations from a lot of different things, and I would love for future generations to be able to see these large trees and to be able to experience everything that there is here. There's magic.
BC still has a great opportunity to ensure perhaps the highest environmental quality of life on Earth by protecting the unparalleled beauty of its south coast's ancient forests and natural landscapes, while emphasizing an economy based on tourism, green businesses, and sustainable second growth value-added forestry. Fortunately, a powerful chorus of citizens are mobilizing in ever-growing numbers, calling for the BC Liberal government to end old-growth logging on the south coast and to save BC jobs.
Thank you for coming out to what may be the biggest environmental rally in BC, perhaps ever.
Your participation makes the protection of these incredible ancient forests inevitable.